Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video. And today we're here finally back with Jamie and I's The Unnamed Motorsport Podcast. I am planning actually soon to actually come up with a real name for this series, Jamie. So if any of you guys have got an idea what we can call this absolute disaster of a podcast, let us know down in the comments below. But yeah, it's been a while since the British Grand Prix. Jamie, do you want to explain why it's been a while, my good friend?
Well, so my house has only got internet today for the first time since I've lived here, which has been 25 days. So that's part of the reason. I haven't been home actually I was home at the start of this week, but we didn't record then. So that's the only way I can record, which is like an hour away. I can't bother driving home for a podcast. That'd be a joke. So
I cannot believe it.
This is the first time I've had internet on my PC in three and a half weeks, and the first thing I've done is record a podcast. So you should all be thankful.
Exactly, yeah. Make sure you say thank you, Jamie, down in the comments below on this one. But of course, yeah, we also couldn't really do a podcast last weekend, not only because Jamie didn't have Wi-Fi, but Jamie wasn't at home. Jamie, where were you?
I was in a field in Northamptonshire watching some cars drive in circles. So
exactly. Did those cars have anything to do with what we're talking about today?
A little bit. It was a Formula 1 race that I was at. So
there we go.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, no, that's the podcast has kicked off so much thanks to you guys. We can actually pay for trackside reporting now. You'll see us in the paddock next year trying to do random reaction tests with drivers and talking about
Grill the grandstand.
Grill the grandstand, making fun of US Formula 1 fans and then trying to be all inclusive again and wearing our t-shirts that we promised to wear for Grand Prix.
Right. Well,
you cannot silence us. But yeah, no. The British Grand Prix though, there was quite a few things to talk about in the end. We've completely missed the hype train, let's be fair. We're way past any sort of hype from the Grand Prix, but we had all sorts of things kick off. Spring qualifying, new format. Like we said, we paid for trackside reporting to let us know really what, the difference between the fan experience at home versus the fan experience trackside this weekend. Why I let Jamie do it instead of me, we're not really too sure just yet.
F1 2021 came out.
Yes, exactly that. Because obviously I've been very, very busy making you guys Formula 1 content as well, of course. But yeah, first of all then, let's dive in and talk about the new format for the weekend. As obviously you were there, Jamie, you've been to the British Grand Prix before, haven't you?
Not for the full weekend, just for the qualifying before this. But this is the first time I've gone for the full weekend.
Is this genuinely the first time you've been for the whole weekend?
Yeah.
I thought you'd been once before for the whole weekend.
No, never.
But we've both been to other Grand Prix, so we shan't worry about that too much. What did you prefer the new format? Did it work as someone that was at the track?
I really liked it. I wouldn't want to see it like every race,
right?
I think a couple of times a season, like this format we've got, is pretty good. I think if it were every race, it'd get really, like, the novelty would wear off straight away. But I think keeping it as a rare thing at tracks that you can overtake at, such as Silverstone or Monza or Brazil, which are the other two. Well, Brazil's not happening, but Monza and whatever track it is.
Well, Brazil hasn't confirmed it's not happening yet, but it's not happening.
Yeah, I think and for the fans there, it was really entertaining because, like, it effectively replaced a practice session, and practice sessions are really boring. So like, I really liked it for that. Seeing the cars go full pelt in a train was much better than seeing them go half pelt around a track on their own in a practice session. So yeah, and quali on a Friday night was really cool as well. I don't know what the fan experience at home was like, but it was a really, really good experience having it on Friday night for some reason.
I'll be honest, as someone, I've been on obviously not on work the last couple of weeks as well, having quali on a Friday completely messed up my schedule. I didn't know what day was what anymore, and that threw me off even more. And why on earth was I watching Formula 1 in the evening? It didn't make sense, I'll be honest to me. But yeah, no, I must admit, it's that fine balance, isn't it? Because it's sort of like that weird thing, first time they've ever done it like this, you wake up Friday morning going, ooh, qualifying today, instead of you wake up on a Saturday morning and go, ooh, qualifying today. But it was a welcome change to the system, and I think they've done it the right way, haven't they? Unlike what we saw in 2016, where they're like, we're changing qualifying, this is what's going to happen, it's going to work, we don't care, there's clear problems with this, and we're going to do it every weekend, and then they do it twice and realise it doesn't work, and then we go back to normal. They've definitely done the right thing here by testing it at a couple of races.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't think it will ever be everywhere, if you get what I mean, because there's some venues it just
I really don't know. I feel, to be honest, the way I feel it's going to go is, we're going to have one weekend where it's an absolute, we're going to have a couple of, Monza's going to be banging. Brazil's going to get cancelled, so they're going to do it for loads of races next year, and they're all going to be disasters. And then they're going to go back to normal. And then everyone's going to hate it, like most Formula 1 fans do with everything that ever changes.
If that comes true, I'll be incredibly impressed.
Yeah. Jamie, we both predict everything that happens in the real world on this podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. We are taking lottery numbers as well for those of you that are interested.
I'll take 10%, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But in terms of so let's run through the start of the weekend. Then, of course, Friday night, Hamilton, Mercedes, not looking good through practice, were they? There was still a lot of scepticism.
I was watching with a vehement Mercedes fan.
Yes, yeah.
And he was fuming all through Friday afternoon because Verstappen was about 2 seconds quicker through all his practice sessions.
It was mad, yeah. But come Friday night, Hamilton does what Hamilton does best. And that is get absolutely everything out of a Formula 1 car. Now, obviously, Mercedes was sandbagging as well. We all knew
he didn't just put out 2 seconds.
Yeah, he didn't just suddenly find 2 seconds. Oh, I can take cops in 8th rather than 4th. Or anything like that. But obviously then, yeah, shockingly, Hamilton got pole out of nowhere. It felt like, to me anyway.
Yeah, it was a really good lap as well. It was the first lap in the session because he messed up his second one at Vale. But to be fair, that second one would have been like one of his best laps ever because he was like 3 tenths up or something at that point.
It wasn't that much, was it? I don't think, but he was up a little bit more.
It was at least a quarter of a second. So that would have been crazy if he finished it, but it didn't matter anyway because the Red Bull just seemed to drop off a little bit. I don't know why.
Verstappen bottled it in the same way Hamilton did.
Sorry?
Verstappen bottled it in the same way Hamilton did. He threw away time later on in the lap.
Verstappen he improved his second run, so he didn't bottle it that badly. But I
thought it was only Bottas that did in the end.
No, Verstappen improved, but...
Verstappen was up on Hamilton winning at the end of Sector 2, but Merck was quicker in Sector 3 anyway, so it was going to be mighty close. And it was still mighty close, of course, in the end.
Yeah, it was less than a tenth. I can't remember exactly what the gap was.
I think it was like 48 hundredths, I want to say. It really wasn't much at all. But obviously then we had Bottas P3 even. Let me get up the qualifying order that wasn't the qualifying order. Yeah, Leclerc was 4th. Perez 5th, because he lost his lap, didn't he? Or someone did. Let me get up the order again. See, this is why we do these the next day rather than 2 weeks later. Where are the results? I can't find them.
I'm pretty sure it was Perez 5th and then the McLarens
6th and 7th. Yeah, it was Sainz 8th, wasn't it? And then George Russell 9th.
Oh no, and Russell was 8th, wasn't he?
He might have been.
And then Sainz Vettel was back.
My internet's just decided it doesn't want to work.
Well, that was the order. I think that was the order.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter because you had a race to decide the actual order. So.
Exactly, yeah, and that's something else we definitely need to talk about as well. But yeah, diving though into the race, of course, we had 2 sort of 3 talking points, didn't we? Really, those of course being first of all Alonso's rocket ship start.
That was incredible. That was like watching F1 in 2006.
It was like watching F1 in 2006. Obviously, a lot of that was helped by the fact he was on much softer rubber than anyone else. Let's not forget that.
Well, not everyone else.
Pretty much everyone in front of him was.
Yeah, but Ocon and Raikkonen and someone else had softs as well, and they didn't.
Yeah, but Ocon and Raikkonen can't start Formula 1 cars unless it's Portugal in the rain for Kimi, and Ocon's never done anything notable on a race start that I can remember.
No, he hasn't actually.
No, exactly. So your bar there is pretty low, Jamie. As well, of course. But yeah, obviously we saw Alonso's rocket ship start. Obviously, most people went with the mediums for the sprint race. Obviously, Alonso opted for the softs. Paid off for him, really, in the end, when you think about it.
Yeah, massively.
He finessed that in the end. Then, of course, lap 1 as well, we saw George Russell do a bit of an oopsie into a Ferrari. I think it was finally then when he realised, oh shit, I'm in the points. I must do something wrong. It was one of those ones, wasn't it? It was just scrappy lap 1. He made a little mistake, and unfortunately, where it's lap 1, a little mistake can very easily become a big mistake, as we saw.
A worthy penalty. I think, had he got away with that, it would have been very surprising after all the penalties that were given out in Austria. So
Charles Leclerc would have got away with it.
Well, yeah, but he drives a Ferrari. So
yeah. Yeah, no, it was one of those ones for me where I wasn't surprised he got a penalty, but I wouldn't have been too surprised had he not either. But that's just because lap 1 leniency seems to be such an inconsistent thing in Formula 1. It makes no sense anymore. And then, of course, the only other really big thing... well, obviously, Max got the jump on Hamilton at the start as well. For some reason, that side of the track seemed to be better a lot of the weekend, actually. Yeah. Watching the Formula 2 as well. For some reason, the non-racing line was better than the racing line, for whatever reason. And then, of course, we had later on in the Grand Prix, Sergio Perez obviously making that very, very weird Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly style mistake in the Red Bull, didn't he?
Gasly came fourth at Silverstone, I'll have you know.
Yeah, but only because Seb decided he was going to take Max out.
That was his strongest weekend. Pierre Gasly would never spin at Chapel like that.
Oh, he definitely would.
No way.
He definitely would. But you know what I mean, though.
Type spin.
No, it was both Perez. Don't just lob Albon in there by himself. Perez was worse in that Red Bull.
I'm going to take
yes.
That. You said Perez was worse in the Red Bull.
Oh, sorry. Gasly was worse in that Red Bull even.
No.
Yeah.
Well, let's not get into that. But we're entitled to our opinions. But my opinion
yours is wrong. So. But yeah, I mean, I for some reason can't get up the race results from Saturday.
Well, I can tell you probably what it was.
I would like to know why my internet's just decided it doesn't want to do anything for it.
That's strange. But it was Verstappen 1, Hamilton 2, Bottas 3, Leclerc
Bottas
4.
3. Yep.
McLaren's 5th and 6th, Norris and Ricciardo. Alonso was 7th. Russell originally was 8th, was he, or 9th? And then it was 9th, and then got 3 places.
9th, yeah, then he got 3
Ocon
place grid penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ocon was somewhere in there as well. And some other drivers too. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah. No, I mean, it worked, didn't it? It was certainly interesting.
Yeah. And it was much better than watching a practice session. So
yes, yeah, exactly.
Take from now
exactly. So quickly before we jump into the full race then, just quickly, your thoughts on who should get pole position? Because it seemed like the dumbest thing in the world, didn't it?
It was very stupid.
Like,
I think the fastest qualifier should get pole position, definitely.
Yeah.
But it is funny rattling Hamilton fans.
Well, it just... I don't think it even rattles Hamilton fans, but it's just like...
What I was with was...
What did they call it in the end, Max Verstappen? He was like the sprint pole champion.
No, Verstappen got pole position.
What did they give Hamilton instead?
Hamilton was the fastest qualifier. It was something.
It was like the sprint fastest qualifier beat the chase, whatever one. When it was ridiculous.
Like king of fast or something. I don't know.
The king of fast. It was. Well, I mean, it was that dumb, wasn't it? The name for it. It was that dumb. Neither of us can even remember what it was exactly. But yeah, did you think? So you think Hamilton should have been given pole as well, then, do you?
Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, what? I mean, there's still talks that they're going to redo it now, aren't they, and stuff like that.
I did like the lap of glory, whatever it was called.
I didn't even watch that. I turned my TV off by then.
Well, I was confused as to what it was, but then it just came past in a massive van doing interviews, so it was alright.
Yeah, which is great because that's like a proper throwback to. I mean, when I go down to Castle Combe near me, they still do that now. With like every race, someone goes around on the back of like an LDV van. It's incredible. But then a dark pan across the screen. Sunday arrives. It's the British Grand Prix. Hamilton lags Max Verstappen.
It's really hot.
It's 30 degrees. The bevs are flowing around Silverstone. Lewis Hamilton. He's 34 points behind now, is it? Or 32?
It was 34 on race day because Verstappen obviously got the 3 points for the sprint win.
Was it? No, was it 33 on race day?
There was something like that. It was 33,
yeah, because the gap's now 8, isn't it? Or was it? No, it might have been 34 then, because did Hamilton get fastest? No, Perez got fastest. Yeah, no, so it was 33. It was 33 going into race day. Hamilton knows this is a have-to-win Grand Prix. 8th home race as well.
Not have to win.
It was a must-win. It was a have-to-win. It was either or. It was whatever you wanted to be. It had to be a 25-pointer, at the very least. Verstappen, pretty even on the start from pole position. Runs wide at turn 1. Leaves track limits, I hasten to add, but gets away with it. Holds on to the race lead. Hamilton then gets down the outside, down the Wellington Straight. Verstappen then pretty much fully behind him. Brakes later into the next corner, into Brooklands. Through the hairpin they go. Verstappen is still in the lead of the Grand Prix after not squeezing Hamilton out, but slamming the door in front of him. I think we can safely say that. onto the old start-finish straight. We've seen so many iconic Hamilton scenes here before. Wins the British Grand Prix in 2008 was the rain pours all around him. The greatest race of all time. It must be known as. Down towards Old Turn 1. Hamilton gets the run. Verstappen goes defensive, but he leaves him, I think it was 3.4 metres for Hamilton's 2-metre wide Mercedes. Hamilton gets to the inside, into the next corner, into Copse. Now, normally, on lap 1, it's a corner you have to lift for anyway, probably down a gear as well. And then, Jamie, what happens from your interesting opinion? Because I know we don't agree on
biased,
this.
So
yes.
I mean, I think I agree with what Jolyon Palmer said in the F1 channel. Basically, if anyone has... Like, he's a very good analyst. He's also a very good driver.
Thank you. I can... Yeah. Jolyon on the go. At least on track. I don't know what he said.
He basically said that it was... Both drivers could have done something to prevent it.
Yes.
But the aggressor is the one at fault when the steward's giving out a penalty.
Yep.
But had both drivers...
When you say aggressor, do you mean attacking?
I mean attacker, yeah.
Yeah.
But if both drivers retired, it definitely would have been a racing incident, which I completely agree with. They wouldn't have given a penalty if both were out.
No.
But I can see why Christian Horner turns into Karen from Asda. Like, I can see why they're fuming. It's a bit of a... Maybe a stupid move. I wasn't going to be that harsh, but it was a bit stupid from Hamilton. He knows that corner is almost impossible to run side by side through, especially on lap 1, and he does miss his apex by a solid amount. And like that, he leaves enough room. Verstappen leaves enough room.
Verstappen leaves enough room for Hamilton to go to the apex. Although, actually, have you seen online someone? I know I've watched them do it a couple of times now. They actually did a digital render of what happened. Now they overlay it to where Verstappen is in qualifying as well. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm in the same boat as you. Hamilton missed the apex there. Fair enough. You can't argue against that.
And also, Hamilton was never ahead, so it was always Verstappen's.
Hamilton was completely alongside him at one point.
Yeah, but that was never clear.
No, but he's on the inside. If he's completely alongside on the inside,
but no, space, but he has the corner.
But if you actually look, I'll try and find this render at some point for you. Where they make contact, actually, if you look at Verstappen's qualifying ghost at the same place, Verstappen would have hit himself there still.
So you mean he cut across the racing line?
He cut across where he went in qualifying.
Yeah.
So, as much as Hamilton hasn't hit the apex, don't get me, I completely agree with that, Verstappen has still turned in slightly earlier than say you or I would probably. But
I can't drive an F1 car.
No, exactly. But I mean, like in racing and stuff, like when we're league racing and things.
I think it was a really cool comparison between the one at the end. Spoilers: he overtook Leclerc at the same point later.
Yes, yeah.
Like you could tell, Hamilton had a lot less to lose with the Ferrari because he was so much more cautious and basically backed out. And then Leclerc made a mistake anyway. So I think because it was Verstappen and because they've been so aggressive to each other on track all season, whichever car
have they been so aggressive to each other on track all season, or has Max been aggressive with Hamilton all season?
But that's what I mean. There's been aggression between them, and Hamilton doesn't want Verstappen thinking that he's a pushover.
No, exactly, because he's had to jump out of the way a couple of times already. Yeah, and I think this is the thing that is one of the defining things for Hamilton as a 7-time world champion. He knows exactly when to bail out in that situation and when not to.
Yeah.
Like, I think you cannot... He picks and chooses... I think it's one of those things that is criminally underrated with Hamilton as well. I think, like, pretty much everything you say with Hamilton, as long as you exclude 2011, he picks his battles pretty much perfectly. I would argue.
I'm trying to disprove you now, but...
Yeah, but you can you? You genuinely can't think of any.
So what do you mean? If he goes for something that's stupid, basically?
He will go for a move like that when he needs to, but not unnecessarily. Like, he won't do it every time, but when he does, it has an impact.
Yeah, and I think it was because he's on the inside of that high-speed corner, and, like... the physics of the car basically means if there's a crash, the car on the outside will come off worse.
Yeah.
He's okay risking it, if you get what I mean. Because, at worst they're both out because there's no way Verstappen surviving contact there.
No. And
at best, one of them carries on and wins. Which
exactly.
So,
exactly.
It was a little bit. I think if Michael Schumacher did that in 1997 or whatever, like that same move, 20 years later or whatever it is now, 25 years almost, we say that's Schumacher being unfair because he's basically taken him out.
Wait, do you mean Schumacher going down the inside or down the outside?
Yeah, if Schumacher was in Hamilton's position.
Right, okay.
In 20 years' time, people might say...
Very difficult to judge, though, when, obviously, the old-school cars wouldn't take cops flat and things, though, isn't it?
Obviously, yeah, but
I know what you're trying to say, but it's difficult to compare.
I think Hamilton's track record means people are going light on him. If it was a driver with a different history, like someone like Magnussen or even Verstappen, really.
Well, look at Grosjean. He completely wiped Sainz out there a couple of years ago, and he got no penalty.
Well, yeah, because that's because they were both out.
It should be based on the incident, not the outcome.
It should be, but that's another problem.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, that's a whole different topic for another day.
I think
as well.
The penalty was fair. At the time, I was fuming.
Yeah, I can admit the penalty was probably fair.
And
I think anything where he'd have to go through the pit lane would have been too harsh. I think a 10-second penalty was fair enough in that situation.
Yeah,
and it made me laugh, yeah, after the race that he still won. That's not the problem. Yeah, that's every other team's problem for not building the car fast enough.
And Bottas' problem, because he's trash.
He's team orders. That's part of being in a top team.
After lap 1, he should have had
he should have been comfortable.
Bolted up.
Yeah. But, I mean, you're saying that. Hamilton's 2/10 quicker a lap than Valtteri Bottas, I'd say. In race trim, anyway. And that's all 10 seconds is. 2/10 a lap.
But still, getting through traffic. And Bottas should be winning that. Easily.
Really, yeah. Sensibly. And yeah, I think that was the other thing I wanted to mention as well, obviously, quickly, is as much as that was Hamilton, you can't put much blame on Verstappen at most there. That's fair enough. I can admit that as someone that's not a Max fan. On the other hand, he surely has got to understand, in that situation, he is the one with everything to lose and pretty much nothing to gain.
Yeah. But it was still,
do we think
unexpected move from Hamilton?
Because Max just assumes people will back out because he's Max Verstappen. He's tried to go with the Senna mentality to a certain degree. But Max has always tried to
out there. Hamilton's in his head forever.
But Max has tried to do that with everyone else. There's 2 drivers on the current grid that Max hasn't got into the head of yet. That is Lewis Hamilton, and we've seen that for years. Bahrain 2018 is a great example of that.
Yeah.
And Charles Leclerc. And Charles Leclerc almost let him get into his head had he not done a worldly at Silverstone back on him after Austria.
Leclerc gives as good as he can take. So
exactly. Yeah. And I think Leclerc knows he has to do that because, let's be fair, we both know down the line there are going to be a lot of world titles fought out between those two. And we are all ready for it.
Yeah. I think the penalty was justified. I think...
Yeah. I can accept a 10-second penalty was fair.
But obviously not.
No. They never really give out drive-thrus for things like that, do they, anymore? Yeah. It's like, I saw people going, what was it, penalties are outdated. 10 seconds isn't enough for modern-day Formula 1. Like, the cars are so much more spread out. Yeah, exactly. Like, 10 seconds 10 years ago would be even less than now.
Yeah.
Although I did see one that made me laugh of, was it a clip of Spa? Obviously, back when, the laps used to count down. Where someone went lap 44 out of 44. Look how close the field are.
Yeah, going up a Rouge on that one.
That was brilliant, yeah. That was incredible. But of course, Hamilton got the 10-second penalty. We had the red flag. Charles Leclerc got into the lead of the Grand Prix.
And had great pace. The first
Charles Leclerc, Ferrari... They were... Fred still likes to believe they had the 8th fastest car that weekend, and Charles Leclerc was God on wheels. But Ferrari were quick again. And it seems to be really inconsistent.
Arguably, on pace with Mercedes, almost. The sprint race, especially, I don't know if anyone noticed, but...
Leclerc wasn't dropping to him.
He was in the gap. The gap from Bottas to Hamilton was the same as the gap from Bottas to Leclerc.
But I think that's very easy for Mercedes just to not... try and push too hard. Again, Ferrari have got nothing really to lose this year.
So much.
Ferrari are finishing P4 this year either way, aren't they? That's just unless
they probably believe they can come third still.
But they've given up developing the car, didn't they? By Paul Ricard. I think...
But they'll still try.
They might still believe third is possible, but I think they realistically know fourth is the worst they're going to finish this year.
Oh, yeah. The gap between the top 4 and the rest is getting bigger each race, which is annoying as a Gasly fan. But, you know what? It's fine.
Just remember, the gap between the top 4 might be getting bigger each race, but the gap between Ricciardo and the other top 7 is getting bigger and bigger each weekend normally. Actually, I say that. He didn't do too badly.
He did very well. He got fifth place.
Fifth place in the end. Fair play to Mr. Danny Rick. But then, of course, we get the red flag. Charles Leclerc leads 50 of 52 laps of the race. To be honest, I'm trying to think back, obviously, with the exception of lap 1, there wasn't a huge amount that went on, unless I'm forgetting something. Obviously, you had like your occasional battle here and there, yeah. But I think where that lap 1 was so dramatic, there wasn't actually a huge amount that really went on over the rest of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, the top 6 basically said it's the top 6. It was Leclerc, Hamilton, Bottas. Or no, Norris was ahead of Bottas first in, and then Norris had a slow pit stop.
Yeah.
So Bottas jumped him up to third. The same as Austria, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then Sainz and Ricciardo were very, very close all race. But
they had a good battle later on, didn't they?
They didn't actually ever swap places, but Sainz was just trailing him the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Just goes to show McLaren have just got a slightly better car still at the moment, despite how pretty OP DRS is.
There was a good train that probably wasn't picked up on TV, but
there wasn't. It was nothing picked up on.
7th to 10th was like nose to tail.
Yeah, this is another podcast I want to do down the line actually with you, talking about how bad the race directing has been recently, and how if they're trying to make F1 really close next year, just how many battles we might miss is going to be horrendous.
I think it's improved since like 2018 at least.
Would you?
Yeah.
I'd say we've had some stinkers this year.
The only one I can think of straight away is the Monaco.
Monaco is obviously like the golden mean.
Gasly one.
But there's been a lot of ones this year where we've watched a gap that's 8/10 apart, and we've got like the little TV preview of 2 cars going side by side. Paul Ricard had a load of those.
Better than it used to be.
It's not great. No, they should swap the camera. There will definitely be an option in there to swap those 2 cameras around.
Yeah, but they can't just cut it. They need to transition and stuff, and by then the battle's over.
No, cut it. It's live.
That's so unpolished. They will never do that.
Yeah, but I'd much rather we just get a swap over like that. Genuinely.
Just test your eyes. I can see the boxes fine.
It's fine, but why focus on a battle that's 8/10 apart when you could easily watch 2 cars actually battling?
It's much better to miss a battle for 8th than to watch a battle for 8th and potentially miss a battle for the lead or battle for 2nd.
Yeah, but there isn't.
But there could be. That's the thing.
But there isn't at that time. And you got replays. Why risk not watching a battle when there is the small chance another battle might happen?
I think when I was at F1 Esports, I've worked with the actual race director who does it.
Yeah.
And I know it's a harder job than it looks.
I've done it for dirt, remember?
Yeah,
which is even worse because you're trying to find rally cars in the middle of a forest.
Dust, yeah. Yeah, it's a much harder job.
I know it is a lot harder than it looks. I completely understand. Obviously, remember I've done league racing commentary before and things like that. Yeah. We need to get back into that this year, I reckon. On a completely unrelated note, that would be a right laugh. No, nor do I. But yeah, I mean, before we completely go off the rails, anything else really to discuss from the race? To be honest,
Perez was awful all race.
Well, he got himself back into the points, didn't he? Got stuck in a DRS train, and then the team pit him. Or was he 11th?
So he started on hards. He was in the train for 7th to like 12th.
Yeah,
and then he pit onto mediums with like 35 laps to go.
For some reason. Yeah.
So, and then he did like a 3-stop at the end. He pit from 10th to get fastest lap. So he lost himself a point to stop Hamilton gaining one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, other than that, Gasly
which
got a punch
shows a Red Bull are the most one-sided team in the world. But yeah, they were actively throwing away constructors' points to gain max points.
Hamilton came out, 4th?
Yes, yeah.
And then his pace on the hards was incredible.
He was always going to put those laps in though, wasn't he?
But yeah,
it was like the epitome of hammer time. Yeah, I completely forgot to mention that, didn't we? We have a Formula 1 Grand Prix that comes down to the final 3 laps, and I've completely forgot about it. Yeah, no, Hamilton, that second stint was just an absolute... I mean, it was just pure, the uncut cocaine of hammer time, wasn't it, really? Is what that was.
But it was on a stalling Ferrari, to be fair. I think...
Was he still stalling later on?
No, he wasn't.
No, but I was going to say, because...
had Verstappen survived lap 1, that would have been a very easy win, I think.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's why Hamilton had to go for it then. Otherwise, he knew he was just losing more and more points. That was the one chance he was going to get all day, so he had to take it. Red Bull just still seem to have that edge at the moment, don't they? But yeah, Charles Leclerc, though, had a mega drive. Personally for me, driver of the day. No doubt.
Easy driver of the day, yeah.
He got everything out of that Ferrari as Carlos Sainz battles Daniel Ricciardo.
To be fair to Sainz, he
had a good recovery weekend, yeah.
He
did pretty well.
He was 19th after lap 1.
Yeah, so he made more progress in the sprint than Perez did.
And he did quite well to end up, effectively 6th after 60 laps of Silverstone.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was a good job done by him. Did you read as well, sorry, quickly, before we look at Hungary? Red Bull, do you know why they retired Perez's car?
Wasn't it something to do with the cost cap?
Yeah, they get 100 grand more for retiring that car in the cost cap, which is mad.
100 grand makes no difference.
Yeah, but it's still... Yeah, but that's the funny thing, isn't it? It makes no difference in the Formula 1 world, but £100,000 is a lot of money to bring a car in to 8 miles early.
Make
GTA.
Italy will be 20 laps or something.
Last lap, yeah, each lap,
every
the guy in
lap
last gets...
retires.
That'd be complete eggery. That would just be egg.
Oh, Nikita Mazepin did a cracking move on Mick Schumacher that I saw, actually.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah, I watched that on
around the
Twitter, I
think.
think.
It was class, and everyone cheered him, and no one was booing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because there's more reports coming out now, isn't there, that Mazepin's had a heavier chassis all year than Schumacher, isn't there?
I haven't seen that, but that surprised me.
Yeah, apparently I think they said in Austria that obviously now he's got the same chassis as Mick, and obviously he's been matching him since then, or doing better.
Yeah.
So there's questions to be raised there, perhaps.
Hate train
well, I mean, I don't think it constitutes what he's done, to be fair.
But he's do I want to say he's a decent driver? No, I just think they're both trash.
They're both not great. I think it'll be... I want to see Haas give them a midfield car next year to at least sort of see what they're capable of.
Yeah.
But, of course, yeah, Hamilton obviously got the jump on Charles Leclerc late on, obviously with Leclerc's small mistake through Cops. I don't think he would have defended anyway, would he? Too much. I think he knew Hamilton was going to have him right at the end there. But, yeah, looking to Hungary, though, Jamie. Predictions for the top 3.
I think Verstappen's going to win.
Yep.
Surprisingly. I'll go...
Can I just say, I predicted a Verstappen DNF at Silver when I got that right.
Did you actually?
Yeah. Remember I accidentally predicted it for Austria beforehand, and then predicted it again and you told me off.
Yeah. Well, fair play. You are really the oracle when it comes to these things.
I really am, yeah.
Yeah, I think...
Because you got George right as well, didn't you? That he was going to finish inside the top 10 in the sprint.
That was the most obvious thing in the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but we didn't think he'd make Q3, though, did we? Because you said that, pre-Silvo, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jamie obviously predicted that George would finish top 10 in the sprint race and then finish outside the top 10 in the real race, which was painful, but true. But yeah, so you're saying Verstappen for the win?
Hamilton P2, and let's throw Leclerc in again. Why not?
You're throwing Leclerc in P3. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I am going to go...
Monaco in it.
Yeah, I'm going to go Verstappen, Hamilton, Norris.
Yeah.
I think Verstappen... I think Verstappen is just going to have absolutely no messing this weekend. And Red Bull have got a quicker car.
Mercedes have a bit of a bad race again.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's a Hamilton track.
It is a Hamilton track, but in Monaco they were not really anywhere.
Yeah, but that was more street tracks though, wasn't it, more than anything else? Yeah, very, very weird. Cold. Very, very weird from Mercedes. So well, you better not, because otherwise Charles Leclerc's getting nowhere near that podium.
Oh yeah.
Ferrari seems to only... Ferrari, I reckon they're contributing 15% to global warming now. Just now their car performs well in the heat. But yeah, I think Hungary is... I feel like Hungary is going to be... We're going to have so much hype from this crash between Hamilton and Max, and then Max is just going to have quarter of a second, get pole, lead into turn 1. Hamilton's just not really going to do anything about it because he's not going to have a car capable of it, and just sort of get on with his own race and get to the summer break. Mercedes is going to bring loads of upgrades second half of the year. Bang on Red Bull.
Going to win a title.
No. Hamilton all the way, baby.
I don't remember what I said at the start of the season, but yeah. I think my constructor's order is almost perfect.
I think we're both not far out. Yeah, well, we'll do a mini recap at some point over the summer break, as well there. But yeah, an up and down British Grand Prix. Like we said, obviously, we kind of missed the hype with this one. We're not going to be able to do one next week, are we, either? Because you're away again.
No, I'm here at the weekend.
Yeah, but we might be able to do one Sunday then, with a bit of luck. Sunday night.
Yeah.
Sunday night.
Monday as well, that'd be fine.
Oh yeah, but you're here on Monday. We can do one Monday morning then, as normal. We'll go back to our normal routine. Hopefully we're getting there with these podcasts.
By that or something.
Probably. Anything else to add though before we round off?
Silverstone was good. I recommend going if you're a...
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, no, you did have a good time, yeah?
Yeah, it was very... We arrived on Wednesday night, drove a supercar on Thursday.
Well, you didn't drive a supercar. You got taken around in an Alpine is what happened.
Yeah, it was good fun. You'll see a video on my channel fairly soon about
Are you actually?
Yeah, they
cool.
actually recorded it for me, and I got emailed the footage. So,
nice. I'll watch that.
That's probably going to go
on mute.
Yeah, it was good fun. I recommend going. It's very expensive to go to Silverstone.
Yeah.
Compared to other races, but like it's obviously the easiest one to go to for any British people.
Announce the Scottish Grand Prix at Knockhill, I reckon, or the Welsh Grand Prix.
Yeah, Cardiff Street Circuit.
Oh yeah, that sounds sick. Do one in Bristol, I reckon.
Oh, just finish on your front lawn.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be great.
Yeah, I recommend going. It was expensive, but I think if you're rich, it was worth it.
Oh my god, you're such a Tory.
Probably shouldn't have said that, but you know what, we move.
Oh dearie me, Jamie. This is meant to be a podcast for the people. It's shocking behaviour. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching nonetheless. Like we said, we really haven't got on the hype train this week, but fingers crossed second half of the year. We're going to be trying to do a few more things with this podcast as well. We've got a few more ideas, we're still sort of very much in a testing phase, but I've enjoyed the first half of the season so far doing this. I hope you have as well, Jamie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's been good fun. But yeah, let us know your thoughts and feelings from the British Grand Prix down below. Let us know your predictions as well for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Of course, I'll be putting out a poll next week as well, obviously, for you guys about that over on the community tab. But thank you all so much for watching, and yeah, we'll be back next week with a Hungarian Grand Prix review with a bit of luck.